Pay attention.
No fire, no.
No.
Right. We're live. Awesome. So, welcome to the Living Room Conversations. Our segment today is the life of single dads. I just want to thank these gentlemen here for saying yes to come on the show and to talk about their situation or them being single dads and raising their kids. And what I do like to do in the very beginning is to at least just give my 2 cents. You know, a lot of times I'm a female, so I hear a lot of times women always talking about I'm a single parent, rather they get help from the dad or not. You know, we're talking about the primary caretaker. That means the children lives with the mother or the children lives with the father here in this instance, but they're saying, you know, it's so hard, I need help, or, you know, the struggle's real, I have to work, I have to manage this house and all those things. And, you know, I hear it all the time because most of the time it is the women who are taking care of, well, they're the primary caretakers. However, we rarely hear the men talk about it. And there are plenty of men, especially today. We have more men these days raising their own children for whatever the reasons are. So we need to hear from the men, because men don't talk like we do as women. We're an open book. We will tell our issues to anybody that wants to listen to them. Most of the time, men, they just keep things to themselves. They cope and they navigate however they can. But this conversation needs to be talked about because it matters to me, and it should matter to all of us, what men go through, just as well as it matters to me what we as women go through as well, especially the single parenting side. My mom was a single parent. Some of my siblings are single parents. So I've seen it, and I want to talk about it. We need to have these conversations so that we can make the connections, make the network, let the healing begin, and also know that you're not the only one going through it. So we have Dwayne Prince here, we have Sean Isom, we have Derek Perry. Welcome, guys. Give it up for our guests. So, because you're sitting right next to me,
Okay.
and we're just going to go around the horn and just make this a conversation. So tell the audience and the people who are live a little bit about yourself.
My name is Dwayne Prince. I am the father of a 27-year-old. I became a father at the age of 17. I'm from the East Side. I'm from Providence, born and raised. And I had, an opportunity where it was necessary for me to get involved and,
Yes.
be a parent, and I stepped up for that.
Okay. Sean?
Well, I'm Sean Isom. I'm a father of a 13-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old. Born and raised in Providence, live in East Providence now. I have my kids living with me. The mother works. She's a good mom. She takes care of the kids, but they live with me.
Great.
So
Awesome.
I take care of them.
Nice. Be nice. Derek.
Oh. My name is Derek Perry, 40 years old, lifelong resident of the city of Providence. I have one daughter, one kid, she's 15 years old. I pretty much was the first one the doctor handed her to, so I've been there since then, and then I've always been there. So I love kids.
Right.
That's who I am.
No. That's great. Well, seeing that, we ended with you. So when did you become the primary caretaker? And how? Like, how did that happen?
For me, I was always around. Like, my daughter, she had a great mom. Her mom passed away like 2 years ago, and I was always there. We used to like, my daughter used to be like optional, running back and forth to me and my mother and my sister, or she has a very big time supportive family on her side too. So we was always there, but then, you know, that day came and, you know, our number got called. So, you know, instantly, like, it really wasn't a big adjustment because we, you know, that's what we already do. We was in great communication. So
Right, nice.
it was really like, you know, you gotta, like, when I heard that, I knew, like, I was staying in a 1-bedroom attic apartment, and I knew, I was like, I knew I had to get up out of there and try to do a lot better than what I was already doing. So
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Sean, you started alluding to all this. So, when did you become the primary caretaker, and how did it happen, if you don't mind?
Well, 4 years ago, I have my 2 youngest. Their mom, great woman, works a lot. So, you know, between no daycare at the time, so I stepped in.
Right.
They come stay with me, you know, while you're at work. And then when I need to go to work, you know, my mom usually steps in, or if she's still at work, or she comes, you know.
Right.
And my oldest son, I'm in the process of trying to, you know, get him now.
Right,
He's having a hard time where he lives at.
right.
So I figure, you know, maybe if you got that father in your life instead of the mother's boyfriend, you know, maybe that's what he needs is his father, you know, to come on down.
Yeah, step up. No, that is awesome. And each of your stories are unique. We're gonna get to you in a second. But that's awesome when dads can step up, because a lot of times you guys get a bad rap. And to some point, rightfully so, because, you know, you see some of your friends, or you see some of the guys, and whatever the reasons are, maybe they didn't have their fathers around, they don't know how to be a father, it's scary, whatever it might be, but you know, they're not stepping up, but you guys did, and that's awesome. So, you know, how did you get your son, and, you know?
Well, like I said, I became a father at 17. So,
Very young.
rather than try to, you know, analyze it or overanalyze it, we were just kids.
Right.
We was kids raising a kid. To be honest, me and my son's mother, we probably stayed together roughly around 5 years. And then at that point, we realized we were just 2 different people, and the adult us that we were trying to grow into wasn't compatible.
Right.
So it's not any long dragged out, you know, our story. We just realized we had to go in different directions, and in the course of that, I determined at some point in time that if I was going to have him the amount of time that I had him, it just made sense for him to be with me.
Right.
And my circumstances were a little different than hers, so it put me in a better light to be able to do that. So
Right. That is really awesome. And you know what? Sometimes the kids are better off with the dads. Sometimes the kids are better off with the mothers, whatever the situations are. And again, I'm just applauding you guys. You know, my brother is also a single dad right now, and you know what? If it has to be that way, that has to be that way. I think the kids should be with one of their biological parents, if they can be.
Instead of going to the grandmother,
Exactly.
the sister.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right. We talked about that, and that was one of the major things that I applaud any guy who takes their child, is because a lot of times guys are waiting around for a grandparent, or aunt, or uncle to take the kids, for whatever the number of reasons are. But if you can, you know, raise your children, and you're going to make mistakes. You know, you learn from your mistakes, because there's no book on parenting that can help anybody navigate 100% through, you know, parenting. Yeah, exactly. So, Dwayne, what was it like the first few months of taking custody of your child, if you can remember?
Oh, I clearly remember. And I hope what I say not only explains more about my background, but also helps those that might be in the position that I was in. At the time, I was paying child support for my son, and I actually had custody of my son roughly 8 months while I still continued to play child support. I went down and I went through the whole process myself of, making the arrangements for the court date. I went and got all the documentation. I did everything in my power to make sure that they knew I had, custody of him and I was the person that was going to have him moving forward. I went down to the courthouse. It just so happened that unfortunately, before I took him, I had a spell where I was unemployed. I mean, I was a kid. I was 17. So I had developed an arrearage where I owed the state of Rhode Island for child support, which I was paying on. So I figured, hey, I'm gonna keep paying for this 8 months. When I go in there and I prove to the court that I've had my son for 8 months, they're gonna retroactive and help me going forward be able to afford raising my son on my own. Well, needless to say, I found out the Rhode Island judicial system does not give credit. So,
well, good for you, but
that's pretty much what he told me. I'm glad, I'm proud. We approved it, but everything stops today. So, I wasn't as enthusiastic about what I was going to be going through as a father after that. But I will say, after that, I got tons of support. The school was a great support. The principals, and that's without even going back to family.
Right. So you already mentioned some of your challenges, and before I go on to you guys about that, did your child, did he act out?
Oh, yeah. And I think I don't think that's anything that's going to be exclusive. I mean, whenever you talk about a father in the role of a single parent, I think any single mother understands the same acting out, because a parent without a father acts out the same way. I mean, parents love their parent. I mean, children love their parents unconditionally, no matter what. Either the absence, either whatever they did wrong, they're always going to have a void if one's not there.
Right.
So yeah, I had to deal with a lot of acting, a lot of emotional.
Did you act out?
No, but I found myself overcompensating.
Okay.
I did the materialistic thing, which wasn't. To this day, I kind of wish I didn't, but I thought if he had 3 PlayStations, that'd make up for one mom not in the house.
Right.
And it don't.
Because it's always gimme.
He was giving PlayStations away, so. But he wanted his mom, so no, there was never. I couldn't fulfill that void with anything other than his mom.
Right. And you as well, Sean. So, what was it like the first few, months, taking custody of your kid?
It was hard. I can't breastfeed or,
I'm sorry, I didn't want to lie, but that was, I didn't expect that, but yes. See, we don't look at it that way when it's on the male side.
I can't breastfeed, obviously I have a 13-year-old, so I know how to change the diapers. I always watch my nieces and my nephews when my brothers had to work and stuff, so me and the mom, lucky she was there to do that, so, but as far as everything else, the cooking, all of that, feeding them, sleeping with them, to this day, they still sleep in my bed. And they got their own room. They got everything they need, but they, in my bed every night.
And life goes on.
You got that relationship close.
Right, which is great.
My kids don't have to want for nothing. I have family, my family is always there. It's just, when my 13-year-old is the bickering with the mother.
Right.
I mean, granted, I messed that up, I cheated, I got caught. But still, it's 10 years later, he's still, keeping my son away from me for that.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate, but, hopefully, in time these wounds will heal and, it'll be the way it needs to be.
It's I can see my 13-year-old when it benefits her.
Yeah, that's awful, but we won't go there. We don't want to go there. I'm just glad you have at least 2 of them, and like I said, hopefully in time that the third one will be with you and you'll. Or
she's an awesome mom. She's a good mom. Good person, cool.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah. Well,
the past, she dwells on the past.
Okay. No, well, you know what? I'm gonna move on from this conversation. But what I will say though is, when you're with someone and someone cheats on you, that betrayal is serious, and not everybody reacts the same way. So You might want to tell her to get over it because it's been a long time. But let me tell you something: when you love someone and they hurt you by cheating on you, that's almost next to death. So, you know, she's still battling with that. We don't know what she grew up with. We don't know if there was cheating in her family, any of those things that had taken place. So sometimes we have to look beyond that situation. And yeah, you said you did it, you messed up, you know, like, come on, you know, let's get this together. But, you know, it's hard. Not everybody heals the same way. And as we can see, we have a lot of murderers and all these things in prison. That's because a lot of them haven't healed. So I just hope that maybe through this conversation that, you know, maybe you guys can talk about this a little more, whatever. I don't want you to talk anymore about it though. And you can heal for the kids' sake, because the kids see every single thing. And just like you're telling me this, I'm sure they probably heard it. They probably hear you on the phone or whatever. They might be quiet and silent, but they grow up, they remember these things, and they are affected by it. But we want people to heal, you know. So I'm gonna move on to Derek.
If you don't mind, I just wanted to say with that was, like, to the camera, it's like, you know, this brother's a willing father that wants to, like, be there. Like, I get it, the heartbreak, but that's what goes on in society. So, like, I see a lot of that, and the kids end up hurt because of, like, one or each side. Like, some, you know, so just keep in mind, like, if you have kids and you're trying to make it work, sometimes you gotta put aside the differences that happen in the relationship for the best interest of the kid, instead of like this young man's son having to go do whatever struggle. Obviously he wants to be with his father at times, and he probably can't because of, to me, a petty issue, because you gotta grow from it.
Well, you would. Well, no, actually, yes, and a lot of people stay there. But I want to save that for another segment, because we want to reach that in June when we talk about the Father's Day, because there's so many issues. But I want to dedicate specific time to that, because that is very important about, especially when it deals with kids. That's why a lot of us are broken. That's why our communities are broken, because there's no healing. There's no discussion. People go live their lives, but they're not teaching. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and a lot of unforgiveness is there.
And I'm just gonna say this one thing, and I'm gonna leave that there because I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
But one of the things I think women need to understand is their agenda and the child's agenda are different.
Oh, absolutely.
So whatever wrong this man did to her, that child doesn't see it.
I know.
Doesn't feel it. Doesn't love him any less. Isn't mad at him. And he's looking at him because that's his father.
Right.
And identity is what most of the kids who aren't getting it today are lacking.
Yeah. Well, that's why I wrote the play Men Hurt Too, because I had seen that. I'd seen it where the mother didn't let the father see the kid because she was mad at him. You don't put the kids in there. That's a control issue right there. And the kids are affected by that. You know, unfortunately, my father wasn't in my life like he should have been, but my mother never demonized him. She said, you will see him for what he is, because his true colors will come out. And they did. And I thank her for that, because she could have said, your dad's this, your dad's that, your dad's that, but she didn't. So I understand, and I totally agree, because our kids are growing up broken, feeling neglected, hearing this stuff day in and day out, what one parent is saying, or your father's no good, or your mother's no good, or he's this, he's that. And our kids don't really know what to think. You know, but they'll go and see the father and they're like, well, he's not what mom said, but, you know, mom loves me because I'm with her and she's saying all these things, so it must be right, blah, 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 blah. And I hate using that, but, you know, and it goes on and on and on and on. But, like, again, that is a serious conversation, and it is a necessary conversation for our community. And trust me, that is on the list, just as well as so many others, because we need to talk. We need to fix what's broken, and a lot of times, like I said, it goes with these relationships. A lot of times we're in these relationships and we don't know how to be in a relationship. We don't know what's required of us, and we get in there and we just mess everything up. We have all these babies and missing daddies, missing mamas, and all these things, and our kids grow up and they repeat this cycle, and unfortunately we get a broken and dysfunctional families and stuff. So I'm going to move on. It was you though. What was it like, you know, the first few months? When you took custody of the issue?
for me it's it's a lot different because like for me, like it's hard to talk about certain stuff. Like I've been through a lot in my life, so like for me, what helps me grow, like I let it out. So unfortunately my story is different. So as I'm talking about my story, if I cry or something, I'm strong. I'm strong. That's all I can say is I'm a strong person. No, I know, but it's hard to talk about it. So for me, it was like, you can't prepare for that. I mean, it was crazy because to this day, we still probably need, we went through the whole thing without any, I guess they call it like, I don't know what they do for people when someone passes away. So we went through the whole thing. Yeah. Nobody has no answers. So, my job was great, and then I had to get back to what I had to do because at the end of the day, you know, unfortunately, when someone dies, like I don't like to say it, but it is the facts, and life goes on. Mm-hmm. So, life had to go on. I had to keep it moving, so I had to get back to work after 2 weeks, and I would just say it was just, I don't know if it kind of sucks because it's probably tough for other people, but like me being me, like I can't make myself weak. I'll shed the tear, but if I'm weak, I'm not gonna be able to perform to my best. So I probably cheated. I'm probably still cheating her because I'm like, you know, sometimes in the morning you don't want to go to school, like cheerleading, for instance. She may say to the coaches, you're not my mother, and it's like, you know, you can't add the two. So for me, like I just told her recently, is you know, I know your mom would have wanted you to get up, and your mom would have got you up with a different approach than me. So I'm not really the screamer disciplinarian type. I never laid a hand on her. I never will, and I don't even scream at her. That's who I am. So
well, not to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
There was a couple of things you said, and you touched about counseling, and you never really went there. And but what counselors do is they get you to talk.
Definitely.
And they give you pointers on how to navigate through life and how grief counseling. That's what you guys were saying.
Definitely.
And, so those things are necessary, especially for kids. Because kids deal with things differently than grown people. We say, okay, you know what it is, this is what life has given us, we're just going to deal with it and we're going to move on because I have to continue to live.
Definitely.
But kids, they don't see things that way. And a lot of times kids hold these things in, and we get a lot of murderers. And no, I'm just saying, because when kids are faced with so many different things, they bottle it up and they become these other people, schizophrenia, all these things they arise in their adulthood, and a lot of that is because they didn't know how to deal with the trauma of the situation in the very beginning. So you might not consider it, but me personally, if my child had witnessed that, I would take my child, because I know that these people who are skilled in this area, rather you go to someone spiritual or not, they can help her to let out everything she needs to let out. And maybe she would say things to the counselor, or he, you know, that they wouldn't say to me, that needs to be spoken, and let them know it's okay to cry. And then another thing you said about you crying, that's another problem we have in our community. We tell our men to man up, don't cry, don't be weak, don't do this. Are you kidding me? You guys are human. Yes. You are not robots. Yes. It's okay for us to cry, because we'll cry in a minute. I'm telling you. We will cry until someone sees us and asks what is wrong. And then we'll still cry because the tension feels good. But it's not fair. Yes. It's not fair. And you're not weak. You don't need to man up, because crying does not man you down. You know, you want to man up, get a job, take care of your family, be that provider, be that protector. All those things that women need. So if it's time to cry, cry. If you have to cry in the dark, because I know most men probably do do what you need to do, but cry. Because to me, you're not weak. Real men do cry. You know, real men do talk about what's going on, and that's the problem. We're not talking. And that creates a whole bunch of other static in relationships, not just with the children, but with the women you're with, because you're not talking. And the next thing you know, you go off and you do these things like cheat, like, I don't know, become a gambler, do all these other things because you're not talking. You have no outlet. But you have to talk. And if you're with someone, it's only fair that you talk to them. Because once you're with someone, it's no longer you and you're not by yourself. But that's that relationship piece that we need to talk about some other time. But so my next question is, if any of you had to, how was it navigating? Oh, well, we did. We kind of talked about him. Did any of you guys have to navigate through the court system, or was it just Dwayne?
Child support related?
Yeah, or just getting custody of your child.
Yeah. Well, see, and I kind of laugh because this is funny because, like, you know, instantly now we gotta make appointments. We got stuff we gotta do. So I'll go to Smith Hill Health Center and, like, this lady thinks that she's proven something by, like, I'm her father. So to skip back to that, when I was a non-custodial parent. Her mom was a custodial parent. So whenever that happens and someone's lost, instantly the father, you ain't even got to go to court. I went down to district court and was like, what I got to do? And it was like, you ain't got to do nothing. Yeah, you good. Just in case somebody else came from the side, like DCYF or this or that.
That's right.
And I was like, oh, okay. But I'm not that type of person. So, like, her grandmother, great lady, Miss Peaches, their grandmother, the lady who took in all 5 kids, that's the real hero. But I mean, I be losing trains of thought.
No, we're talking about the court system now.
The court system, yeah. So, I in partnership, we had to go down to actually, you know, you got district court that they only can answer certain questions, but then over there at City Hall, they got, like, stuff that's like, you gotta go stand, you gotta get all, this great lady down City Hall helped us. She basically put it all together. We had to get one of them people that serve people papers, pay money and everything. So yeah, it's navigating it. So by navigating it, that made her the guardian. That's guardianship. But you can't, I would have to relinquish my rights for anyone to take that from me. So for anyone out there that don't know, if you are not the custodial parent and you're non and something tragically like that happens, you're instantly the custodial parent, and that's by law. So it's not, like, not that I ever would get in anyone's way, but it's not the grandmother, it's not nobody but you, because you're the biological parent. Right. Now, if you choose to relinquish that, which I would never even think of, then anyone else could come into equation. So, and then one more thing, by the way, for people who don't know, because I've been through some stuff, you could go down to courthouse with somebody, like, I can go down to courthouse with, like, anybody, like a girl that I know, and me, her, and that kid agree, I can get that kid with my last name and take somebody else that ain't in the picture, it will never exist. It's a process. So, I mean, if there's people that ain't around that don't want to be in these kids' lives and they ain't never been in their life, and you have a great man with you or a great woman, you can make that official. And they can get your last name, they can get whatever. That's a separate issue, but I'm just saying, it's just, get that information out there for people who don't know. But if something tragically happens, you are the custodial parent. You don't have to go through court. You are, but you would have to relinquish it for anyone to take power over you, over your kids. So.
Can I just mention something about that? Because he's exactly right. And I remember when I went through that process, a bunch of my friends who had been going with issues, they were in situations where they were separated, and they were going through these periods where their children's mothers were threatening to take custody or to not let them see their kid. As to what you just said, it's actually 100% true. Every biological parent has custody. And they just don't have placement or custodial custody. Right. A mother could never tell a father, you can't see your kid. You can't by
Exactly.
law.
Right.
It's a 50-50.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just because they live in one house, that 50-50 don't just diminish.
Right.
It's 50-50. Unless you've done something where the court steps in and says, maybe it's abuse, maybe it's whatever.
Yeah.
Or if you just say, I don't want nothing to do with that kid, you can give up your
Relinquish
right.
right. Mhm.
But that right is given the minute that baby comes out.
Right.
And a lot of fathers don't know.
Definitely.
They deal with all this, these
From the
this-
grandparents and people from the other
yeah.
side.
Or they deal with these women who put these fathers through, strenuating circumstances under the whole threat, I'm going to take custody away. I'm not going to let you. If you're ever denied custody of your child, you can go to the court and say, I want you to get involved.
That's right.
Give me my right. Not give me more than my right. Give me my right to see my kid the amount of time I should be. And it's a no-brainer. It's automatically done.
But to add to that, Dwayne, you gotta be a father like you. So for you guys out there,
Yeah.
you have to man up. You gotta pay child support.
Yeah.
I was fortunate. I never really why would you want to run from that? That's something that's my daughter.
yours. That's
the
yours.
doctor handed it to me. I never ran. But you ain't gonna be able to get them rights if you ain't going down there paying.
Right.
So pay the money and instantly put in a motion. So for people who don't know, they'll stop to threaten your license. But listen, they don't want to suspend them, so you instantly go put in a motion as district court, second floor. You go there and put in a motion for anything. Relief of money, you lost work, and one of the great things for me, when I lost my job, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a benefit, but when my daughter lost her mother, obviously I don't pay child support. But when I lost my job, the same prosecutor type of guy, because when you go down to that court, they ain't your friend. And men leave out of there very mad, and it's really catered to women, which the women that deserve it, I understand, but like most of the men just get shot down. But
I've seen it.
You have to
With
be
my own
careful.
eyes, I witnessed it, and it's awful. Did you have to deal with the court system at all?
I did.
All right, that's awesome. That's
I did
awesome.
none of that.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with you, Sean, seeing that, So,
I'm learning
Right.
I think what he said about the court thing. I had an issue where my kid's mother was like, I'm not gonna let you see the kids. I see, I didn't know what he said until recently, maybe like a month ago, but I didn't hear it in the way that he spoke about.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So now it's clearer. Now
Now
we can-
it's even clearer now. Now I wish you would try to take my son.
Helen, I'm sorry, but what I was trying to get to, because I lose a train of thought, when I lost my job, and this is another thing you brothers better realize is that, or a lady, because some women gotta pay. If you lose your job, you better get right down there and let them know, because for me, I was paying on the low end. I ain't really never had a high job, so $25 a week. But if I know people who was paying $65 a week, so 65 times 4 weeks, and you're out of a job for 4 months, they're running that together. So for me, when I went to the court, that kind gentleman, and sometimes I like to emphasize it, these are white people, like Caucasian people. The reason why, because he gave me everything I needed. He backed it up. It wasn't personal. So you get down there and let them know, and at the end of the day, you'll at least have time. You lost your job. You need time. You don't want to have that running at the same time.
I understand.
Right.
So
You just gotta know to ask.
go down there.
Right.
Go down there.
Right. I'm gonna ask one more question, and then we're gonna take a break, and we're gonna go off live. So, Sean, so what are or were some of the prominent challenges of raising your children by yourself?
Well, challenges like I didn't really have transportation to get around to go to the doctors and buy food for the kids. Like, I always had to depend on somebody, and worry about somebody coming to pick me or walk with both kids, which wasn't a problem if it wasn't cold out.
Right.
I mean, like now, it's freezing outside. Who wants to walk the shores and go get some meat?
Or food pantry, either one, depending on how you walk it, right?
In East Providence, I don't even think there's too many food pantries around there. It's not like Providence, you know what I'm saying? So there's maybe one food pantry that I even heard of being in East Providence.
I got one for you.
Right.
She has a good one for you. No. So, Derek, the same question. What are some of your prominent challenges of raising your daughter?
For me, man, it got so bad last year that, like, man, I had to start sending in the Uber. Because I'm an independent person. I'm not going to sit around and rely on people all day to handle my business. So at the end of the day, help is great, but you got to do what you got to do. I'm not a big fan of the bus. Me, for myself, I mean, because we was living in Pawtucket, who, like, you know, my sister basically took us in because it's hot out there. I don't have the means to pay over $1,000 for rent. I didn't have a car either. So, but I had to, you know, God is so great that I used the credit card that I had, and it was getting her from Pawtucket to Nathan Bishop, but the catch was, who am I putting in the car with? Yeah. I mean, I would sit there and, like, try to scream through people, like, just to get her in the car with a woman. Mm-hmm. So it was a challenge, and that was a hell of a challenge. That was a hell of a challenge. I mean, putting your kid in a car, that I would never do that. And I was like,
no, and I'm not laughing at what you said.
No, I know.
My child is looking at me laughing. You know.
And a lot of people were doing it. Like, I drive for the ride share, but I'm like, and she was like, she started saying, "Could you call an Uber?" And I'm like, you don't realize the anxiety of calling an Uber. I gotta put you in a car with a stranger.
Right,
like, no disrespect. Yeah. One time it was a guy that looked like me. It was dark, and I was sending her over south to, like, where they live on the west side from Pawtucket, and I did it.
I'm going with you.
Because I was really, what I was really trying to do, because as a man, I don't want my daughter having to do what I gotta do. So, go over to your grandmother's. That's the best place for you. I'll walk from here to wherever. I'll do what I gotta do, but I can't have her trucking with me. So just getting her over there was like a relief for me to think and try to figure out. And at the end of the day, it'll drive you to be the best you could be also. So.
Well, no, I understand. I have a daughter myself, and if I have to take her every single place, I do. Things aren't the way they were when we were younger. I was catching a bus when I was in high school and going from South Side to Chad Brown. I was everywhere, and you know, I didn't call my mom, but we were okay. These days, you know, with sex trafficking, that's going to be another topic as well. There's just so many things we have to be careful about. And especially men, you guys are protectors. So, you know, your spidey senses are always going to be up, especially when you have females, because you want to protect them. And God forbid something happened, I don't even know how you guys would even get through that. So I truly understand, and I'm going to ask you that same question, you know, some of the prominent challenges.
I think the biggest challenge that I ran into, and you know, if you can imagine when this whole thing, the onset of this, I didn't really have it like that either. When I took custody of my son, I was a freshman in college. So I'm a freshman. I'm going full time. I got a full time son. I work at a barber shop. I bounce at a nightclub. I did everything I can do to kind of make the ends meet. I actually even had to have a roommate. So at one point in time, it was me, my 38-year-old roommate now, and my son. Wow. So I think the biggest challenge was at like around 10, 9 to 10, maybe even 11 or 12, my son started losing his role. He thought it was 3 guys living in an apartment. And I'm like, wait a minute, we ain't got no job or no job at school. And the other 2 people here contribute to this household. So, and I went through that for like about 5 years, and I realized, as much as I thought I was doing better, that lapse of not having a woman, and I wouldn't bring women on my son unless there was the woman I was going to be with. So my son just got a real twisted perception of what he was at 13. He thought he was one of the guys. And he thought, it's 3 of us, he can do guy things, he deserved respect like every other guy in my home. And I realized I was
walking around with his with the white beater.
I realized I was doing him an injustice. I realized that he was missing that family piece.
Right.
Like it's okay for us at 18 to leave and go to college and to act like, you know, we're living in the dorm.
Yeah.
That's okay because you got that foundation of family.
Yeah.
He didn't have that foundation, unfortunately. So one of the things I think that was the biggest challenge was for me was I once again tried to compensate for the fact that there wasn't a mom.
Right.
And I thought I could buy it, and I thought I could, you know, do my best to do more things as a father. But once again, that's just a void, and that goes to any mom that puts their child in the position any one of us was in, whether they meant to or not. That keep in mind, even if you can't be that sole parent, be part of that child's life.
Right.
And this is not about money. It's not about sneakers, clothes, games. No, it's just about time, a hug. I love you. Because as fathers, and don't get me wrong, we all cry.
Right.
Yeah.
But I got to be honest. I had an issue with showing emotion to my son, and it's different when you got a daughter.
Most men do, yeah.
So my son only saw, and he. I remember one time he said to me in an argument, he goes, "You know, you got everybody food. Everybody thinks you're the nicest guy. Well, guess what? You're not." And don't get me wrong, it's hard to be all faces.
Right.
You can't be. I'm the fun guy, and I'm the because I'm raw. I
Now
got
with your kid, because you're the disciplinary, so you got
Yeah,
they see a different side of you.
I didn't have a good cop, bad cop.
Right.
So I had to be both.
Yes,
And most of the time, I had to be bad cop.
That's it.
Yeah.
So just keep in mind, you know, to parents that are separated, and it's not just about just the women, but anyone. Play a role of some sort, man. 'Cause, you know, this life is an act,
Right.
and we all have roles.
Right.
Play that,
Right.
you know.
Thank
And
you so much.
You know what? I'm sorry, Helen, but you know what's important? Like, you're not even in the kid's life. Don't be on the phone like, oh yeah, man. And cut like your father's a good man. What he does, like you're instigating. So inspire good things. You're not there. You're not in their life. But like he said, just play a part. So even if like some people, there's so much going on. You could be on drugs, but even if you call and if you don't call, whatever, but just don't make it harder for him. Let them know that he is a great man, because the kid is gonna find out anyway. So don't instigate it. You're not there, or if I'm not there, I ain't never telling my daughter her mother's nothing but a
Well, I'm gonna say one
beautiful
thing.
queen she is.
Well, why would you even say that? Because it's like if he was so bad, then why were you with him?
Yeah.
So why are you even telling your kids
Yeah.
that? But it's all about pain.
Yeah.
It's all about control. It's all about making you feel just as bad as I do. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say everything to cut you down. And you know what? We're not perfect. You know, as long as you're not beating on her, you're not robbing and stealing her, all these nasty things some dudes do that I do know, then they shouldn't be cutting you down. It didn't work out with you guys. So what, you were arguing all the time? So what, your feet might sting and you left your socks all over the place. I mean, she has mad drama too, but you don't do that to your kids. Your kids don't deserve that, and she shouldn't do it to you, and he shouldn't do that to her. It just needs, that balance needs to be in there and say, look, you know, we're not perfect, but you know what? It's not working out, but that is still your dad. You better respect him. That's your mother. You better respect her, because that's the only mother you got. And then you said praise God or whatever. God does not play with that. He says to honor your mother and your father.
I agree.
That your days in this life may be long. So if we're causing our kids not to honor their mother and their father, we're setting them up to die. Are you kidding me? So we're going to go now, and we'll catch you guys. We're going to have Demont in a few minutes. We'll go back live again where Demont can do his spoken word piece. And then we'll go ahead to the second part of this talk show. Thank you for tuning in.